Hey, George. Hey, congratulations for Vanquish.
Thank you, Gig, very much.
So, how does it feel to return to this action film genre?
For me, it was a lot of fun. I've written a bunch of these, but I never got a chance to direct one, and I always wanted to, and I wanted to figure out a way because these genre movies they've been done many many times. The woman, her daughter gets kidnapped. We've seen this story before. But for me, I wanted to try to put a different visual spin on it, and try to tell it a little differently than like just the way we've seen it a bunch of times. So I kept saying every day we were shooting, how do we make this look a little different? How do we do this a little different? We've seen this type of thing before, so how to put a different spin on it. And every day every day we shot it, we were always trying to push it a little differently.
So where was the original idea came from for Vanquish, if it was done before?
Well, I mean, who wrote the? You mean this type of idea? Well,
Yeah.
the kind of the whole, I mean, certainly well, Taken had a male protagonist, but I mean, the idea. I mean, these ideas go back to the 1950s. The kidnapping story, the person in peril story, but what we wanted to do was we figured, Morgan Freeman is clearly the bad guy in the movie, but Ruby Rhodes is also a sort of a bad person with a bad past, and yet we get on her side because her daughter gets kidnapped. But there's also a whole bunch of things going on that we don't realize what's really going on until near the end of the movie. And so at the one, in one hand she's a victim, and on the other hand she's also a perpetrator because she's running around shooting up the whole town. So that we tried, like I said, we just tried to make it a little different in that way. She wasn't just a victim.
Absolutely. I love your writing work, ever since, Midnight Run and Bad
Thanks, man.
Boys and so on. But those action films that you wrote have humor in it. Why did you want to use a different approach for Vanquish?
You mean, yeah, I mean, I love Korean gangster movies. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it started for me. I just love those movies. And, those movies are done with so much passion and so much heart. And I was thinking, well, maybe there's a way to take that kind of vibe and then inject it into an Americanized kind of, action movie, and yet make it a very human story because it's a mother-daughter story, and it's also the story of, clearly Morgan is kind of her mentor, and then she gets completely let down by him, and and she's victimized by him to some degree. But um, I don't know. I kept thinking, I don't mean to be redundant, but I just kept thinking there's got to be some way to make this visually different and engaging all the way to the end. And hopefully we pulled it off.
Well, that I think you did pull it off because
Thanks.
it's a great action film from start to finish.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's talk about some of these action sequences.
Sure.
How much how did you handle the fight coordination? If you personally didn't do too many action films before?
Well, my friends have made them, and I've been on those sets, and I mean, I just did what I had in my head, and thankfully as a director, you're never working alone. I mean, I had a great cinematographer. Anastas Mikos is a great cameraman. He shot a lot of these. So I would say to him, okay, this is what I've got in my head. Tell me how far off I am. And he would say, no, I can help you there. And then plus I had a great second unit guy. Johnny Martin is a terrific second unit action guy. So we talked about this stuff forever. We just talk about it, and then I rehearse it with the actors. And I said in another interview, basically, your primary thing is you want to make sure nobody gets hurt because you're doing a lot of crazy stuff. And so you just rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it until everybody knows exactly where they need to be. And then it looks very fluid. But in reality, you've done it 1,000 times already, so by the time you shoot it. So anyway, that's pretty much how we did it.
What was the most difficult fight sequence that you guys had to coordinate?
I think, well, it was I think the most difficult thing to shoot was, and we did it in one take, thank God, because I mean, because you watch people doing this stuff, you're like, oh my God, I can't. Was when she took the bike and she went underneath the truck with it, and we did that in one take. We had about 8 cameras set up, and I just said, man, I hope she gets this in one take, because I don't want to be putting this with the stunt women doing that stunt. I said, I don't want to make her do this over and over and over again, because but she did it, boy. She laid down that bike and slid right under that tractor trailer. She did it in one shot. I was very impressed. And I said, all right, everybody go home. No need to do that again. So,
I mean, one of the things that Ruby Rose always loves to do her own stunts. How much of her own stunts did she actually do in a film like this? Because she did get injured on a television show called Batwoman.
yes, she hurt her. I think she broke her spine, actually. Yes, which I was clearly very cognizant of. I mean, she did a lot of this stuff, but some of the more grueling things she did not do. And so and she also became my friend during shooting. We became very, very close, and I could see when she was hurting a little bit. So if she was hurting, I would either stop and get a double, or move this stuff to another night.
Absolutely. How many motorcycles did you guys go through? Because it
3.
seems like you
Only 3. Yeah, only 3. Yeah, we wrecked a few. Yeah, yeah. Which is great. They just give you another bike. They're fantastic. I wish that were true in life. If you wrecked your car, they just gave you another car.
Now, one of the things as a director that they always find difficult is night shoots. Was that difficult for you too?
Yes, I hate night shoots. It's funny. When I originally wrote the script, I thought to myself, because I knew I was going to direct it, I was like, oh God, why am I doing this? Because I despise it. Because, I used to live a lifestyle where I would come in the door at 5 a.m. I used to be up all night. Then I got married, and, now I have a whole different life where I go to bed early and I wake up at 5 a.m. So my clock was completely off. And, when I did a movie years ago called Trapped in Paradise. I don't know if you remember that, with Nicolas Cage and John Lovitz and Dana Carvey. And the whole movie took place in one night during a snowstorm, which was complete insanity. But I was in my 30s when I did that, And I said, after that movie, I said, I'm never doing this again, And then every time I write a movie, I'm like, night looks cool. I guess I'll be up all night again doing this. But I don't know. I don't like it, but you have to do it. It's part of the job.
Now, the house that Morgan Freeman's character actually reside at, is that a real location, or is that a set?
No, that was a real house. That was a real house owned by a doctor who lives in Mississippi. And the second I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this place is unbelievable. This guy's really going to let us shoot in here. I mean, knowing something about making movies, I would never let a movie crew in my house, But he was great. He was like, yeah, wow, Morgan Freeman's going to be in my house. He was fantastic. So he was happy that, to let us use his house. The other thing, it was very difficult because the whole movie takes place at night, and in one night. And I thought to myself originally, well, I'll shoot all those scenes in the daytime in a house and I could just black out the windows. But the second we walked in there, it was all glass. So I was like, oh God, we're gonna have to shoot this at night too. But it looks so fantastic. I was like, look, you know what? I'll bite the bullet. It just looks too cool. So yeah, the whole thing was nights, the whole movie.
Well, it seems like Morgan Freeman was such a good sport, playing his character entire time in a wheelchair.
Morgan Freeman's got the energy of 20 men. It's like, I don't know how he does it. Like, he's first guy on the set, last guy to leave, always wants to make it better, always wants to do it again. He's great. He loves making movies. He loves to work, So there's definitely a lesson in that. And he's never tired. I mean, we'd be like, we would start 7 o'clock at night. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like half asleep in the chair. And I look at Morgan Freeman. He's up talking to everybody. I'm like, how does this guy do this? He's 20 years older than me, And I'm like, I can't, and he's just great. He's just fantastic.
I'm curious, are all the other indoor sets, were that also filmed during the nighttime, or did you try to film that during the daytime?
No, once we got on a night schedule, we were on a night schedule, because it's like, you shoot 12 hours, you sleep 12 hours, So the only thing in fact, the stuff that's in the morning at the end of the movie when she comes into the house, that was actually at sunset. So we once we got on that schedule, we were on that schedule. We just started an hour and a half early that day, for the end of the movie when she comes in the door and it's morning. Yeah. So, but we had to shoot that stuff all very rapidly because, the sun's going down and that light only holds for like about an hour. So on those days we had 3 cameras, running. So it was almost like a play. We had camera, and then just shoot it continuously until the light was gone.
With so many challenges for yourself, why do you love directing? Because I know you're a prolific writer.
I don't love directing. I'm a masochist. I mean, I really mean that. It's like it's really funny. It's like Clint Eastwood said that directing was like getting pecked to death by chickens. It really is the truth. I mean, the only thing, I mean, look, let's put it this way. I love when you're on a set and you shoot something and it works, you go, all right, there's no greater feeling than watching that thing just happen between those 2 actors, and it looks beautiful and it's got humanity and warmth, and you go, wow, that's a great moment. Okay, I do like directing, but the pressure of it, I have to be honest with you, is grueling. If I have a bad day as a writer, I crumple up the paper, I throw it away, nobody knows, right? You have a bad day directing, it's there forever. You shot it and you own it. It's so that kind of pressure sometimes is a bit much. But what else can I do? I'm too old to change careers now. I have to keep doing this.
Well, I mean, are you going to head back to the writing desk to write some more stuff, or you want to direct again?
Well, I wrote another script that I wrote another script that I'm going to be doing in the fall with Ruby Rose and possibly Antonio Banderas.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, well, it's a beautiful, completely different type of movie. It's about a Mexican immigrant it's a 3-generational movie. It's a Mexican immigrant comes to Napa Valley, and he and his wife, they purchase a little tiny piece of land and grow grapes. And 3 generations later, it's the most successful vineyard in Napa Valley. And it's about these warring generations, old family feuds, and how everybody sort of comes together during this one particular harvest and solves 3 generations of fighting. It's a really, really, I'm very proud of this script. And Ruby plays an intern who comes to work at the vineyard, and she's kind of been on the run her whole life, and she kind of comes there to hide for a while, and then starts to fall in love with the place and fall in love with the people, and learns to stand still a little bit, and enjoy life. It's a really, this could be a lovely movie. I'm very excited about it. So I guess I do like directing, to answer your question.
You know what? That sounds great. I look forward to that movie too, George. Hey, thank you very much for speaking with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Next time.
Yes.